appreciate it, man, being very honest.
Oh, you're all right.
Oh, shit.
You okay?
Hey.
Put the gun down.
Put the gun down.
So I want to talk about the shooting that involved the Jacksonville, Florida Police Department officers and the gentleman who was being totally compliant and was shot with his own gun. Now, the mere fact that he was shot with his own gun should tell you right there that there were issues and there were problems. And not only did I watch the newscast videos that were put up on the body cams, but I also watched Colin Noir. Now, if you don't know who Colin Noir is, you really don't know anything about guns. Colin's been around since 2011, I believe. He's got like 3 million followers on YouTube. He's really big in the 2A community. He was a national spokesperson for the NRA, and now he's a national spokesperson for USCCA. But a couple of things that he mentioned in his video that I totally disagree with. And again, this is based off my training, my observations, what I actually saw in the film from the body cams. It was a comedy of errors and negligence, but I don't know if I would go to the extent that he did. First of all, the gentleman was stopped for a traffic violation. It happens. I believe it was running a red light. And he informed the officers right away, hey, I have a gun. And they asked him where it was, and he said, it's on my waist. Now, there were 3 officers involved in the traffic stop. The primary officer and then the backup car, which was a 2-man team, male and female. When the gentleman exited his car, he was met by the first officer, male officer, who had him standing next to his vehicle, which is fine. The female officer reached into the gentleman's right waistband because the gentleman was carrying a inside the waistband holster, and he was carrying a Glock 45. Now, Glocks are very good guns. I own a Glock. I'm going to show you my Glock here in a few minutes, but they're not a gun that a novice should be carrying. And that's why they were built for military. They were built for police. But somebody who is novice or somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of training, it's not a gun that I would recommend because they're easy to discharge. And although they're very simple to operate, they're a little bit more complicated than most guns because they're quicker to react. So she reaches using her left hand, which was her non-dominant hand. Now, how do I know it was her non-dominant hand? It's because her gun, her duty weapon, was on her right side. So she's using her left hand to disarm this gentleman. Now, anybody who's shot knows that you use your dominant hand and you also try to train with your non-dominant hand to get it as good as you possibly can. But let's face it, when you're using your dominant hand, that's going to be the hand that works the best for you. So she's using her non-dominant hand. She's on her non-dominant side, and she is pulling the gun out of his inside of the waistband holster. When she does this, she accidentally is pulling it out, and while she's pulling it out, she also pulls the trigger. And when she pulled the trigger, it caused the gun to discharge. And when the gun discharged, it discharged downwards and into the gentleman's leg. Now, luckily, he didn't die. He didn't hit an artery, and he survived. And that's a blessing in itself. But the mere fact that the officer who was not directly behind him was pulling out a gun from her non-dominant side, trying to get it out of a holster, I have concerns with. Because the minute she pulled that gun up, she instinctively put her finger on that trigger, and that's where the gun went off. Was it a negligent discharge? Yes. Was it her responsibility? Yes. Should she have been the one disarming the gentleman? No. The officer that was directly behind him should have been the one that was disarming him if he was going to be disarmed. Now, since this shooting, Jacksonville Police has created a memo, and I'm going to read this. It says, the Sheriff's Office has updated the policies handling firearms during a traffic stop since the shooting. This memo is to the officers and is dated December 18th, stated that the mere fact that someone is carrying a concealed firearm does not automatically mean that this person poses a threat or is ineligible to carry a weapon. Unless an officer can articulate suspicion that a detained person presents a threat to the safety of the citizens or officers, or has knowledge that the detained person is ineligible to carry a concealed firearm, officers should not seize the firearm, i.e. remove it from the holster, vehicle, pocket, bag, etc., from someone lawfully carrying. Now, I have a problem with this memo. First of all, if somebody's carrying a gun and they're stopped, officers ask them if they're carrying a gun. Officers make the decision whether they want to, for their safety, remove the firearm or remove it from their reach. I have no problem with this. I think it's prudent, actually. I myself have been stopped for traffic violations. Officers asked me if I was carrying a weapon. Of course, yeah, I'm carrying a weapon. They've taken my gun. That's totally fine. You know, for their safety, I understand that. And I appreciate the fact that they want to remain safe. I don't want to do anything that would cause them to react in a negative way where they would draw their weapon and shoot me. So for everybody's safety, yeah, remove the gun. But should the gun have been removed? Given the fact it was a traffic violation, I mean, it's officer's discretion. But now Jacksonville Sheriff's Department is making it a mandate that, hey, we're not going to remove guns. I have a problem with that too. I think the biggest thing that Colin Noir said that I have a problem with is he wants to give this guy $1 quadrillion. Now, I don't even know how much $1 quadrillion is. It's a lot of money. But where's the money going to come from? Where would the money come from? The money is going to go from their liability insurance, and then it's going to come from the citizens. That's where that money is going to come from. Should this guy be compensated? Absolutely. It was negligence on the officer's part, but it was a comedy of negligence. It was 3 officers involved, and 1 officer was removing the firearm and was not in a proper position to do it. At least that's my opinion. You know, I want you guys to see something, and this is my Glock 45. As you can see, it's empty, no magazine. Okay, so when you take a Glock and it's a condition 1, which means that there's a round in the chamber, that's how much pressure it takes. 6 to 7 pounds. 6 to 7 pounds. That officer was using her left hand. So when she's pulling the gun up, she's pulling the trigger back. That's what caused the gun to discharge. Listen, anytime you're dealing with a firearm, you got to remember one thing. It's a gun. It's loaded. They're all loaded. Until you personally clear the firearm, it's a loaded weapon. Now, I don't know if the gentleman knew he had a round in the chamber, but the officer obviously didn't know that he had a round in the chamber. You have to have a healthy respect for firearms. You have to treat them with respect. And that avoids accidental and negligent discharges. Okay, well, that's it for now. I hope you like, share, subscribe. By all means, leave comments. If you don't agree with what I'm saying, or if you think I'm wrong, or even if Mr. Noir thinks I'm wrong, hey, let me know. Until then, I'll see you on the range.